It's time for a Drunk Talk TV Music Industry News Desk Report.
Strap yourself in, void prohibited, batteries not included, not available in State of Shock.
Hey everyone, welcome to another Drum Talk TV News Desk Report. We got some music news to cover, as well as what's going on over at drumtalktvbrilliance.com. We even have a coupon code that will be active from February 1st to 15th. It'll be DTTVB14. That's the numbers 14 to get $14 for just that price for a year of the premium level of Drum Talk TV Brilliance. But yeah, I'm Steven, and Shiley, how are you doing this morning or afternoon? I don't remember which time it is for you over there right now.
Yes, I'm in Central Time, so it's approaching noon. I'm doing pretty good. I'm very happy that it's Friday and that we're almost to the weekend. Yeah, how about you, Steven?
I'm doing well. You know, I got some plans, gonna meet up with a couple friends to see a movie later, and there's also like we're doing like a Bob's Burgers theme party on Sunday, so that should be really fun. All right, so now we get into
Very exciting. Sounds like a blast.
All right, fun stuff. So my icebreaker for you, Shiley, and for anyone tuning in from the audience, whether it be live or in the archive, is what are two bands or two artists that you'd think would make an interesting double bill, whether they be a double bill you would want to see or a double bill that's just like, oh, that feels like really obvious, or maybe you'd even juxtapose like a couple really different ones. So what comes to mind for you?
Oh, that's a really great question. We have some double bills to talk about in the news desk, so it's a timely question. I don't know, like my first instinct is to really like put Fall Out Boy in there because they're my favorite. And so I think like it would be really fun to put them in with another sort of act from that same time or that same genre, or even something just slightly different. We've got some My Chemical Romance news coming up too. I also really like them, so I think it would be kind of fun to see them do kind of a double bill together, Fall Out Boy and MCR. They're in the same vein, but they're also so different, and they have such different personas and vibes that I think that would be really interesting to see what they came up with to kind of combine their each individuality to come up with one cohesive show. What would you choose, Steven?
Yeah, so one that came to mind for me, and it feels like a really obvious one, I'm kind of surprised it's never happened, is I kind of think a double bill featuring Kansas and Toto would be potentially interesting, because you got those obvious, you know, when people read the words Toto or Kansas, they might automatically associate that with the Wizard of Oz and those related works, and they both feel like they're kind of in a similar vein of I don't know, like Stadium Rock or AOR or whatever it's called. Like it kind of feels like they're in a similar vein, so it kind of feels like an obvious thing. I kind of wonder if maybe there have just been some logistical things that have kept it from happening, or maybe it's just never crossed their minds, but I think that'd be an interesting one, honestly.
Yeah, that's a really great answer.
All right, so now moving on.
It's time for This Day in Music History. Why not the whole week? Because we'd be here forever.
All right, so what do we got for
are we
this
ready
day?
for this day in music? Yes, all right. In 2016, David Bowie reached number one in the American Albums chart for the first time with Black Star, his album released just 2 days before his death on January 10th. His highest charting US album had previously been The Next Day, which peaked at number two in 2013. January is definitely the month of David with both his passing.
Yeah. And speaking of 2013, back on January 30th, 2013, Mick Jagger was named the most stylish rock star of all time by lifestyle website Complex. Jagger led their top 50 list, which included Prince, David Bowie, Kurt Cobain, Sid Vicious, and Keith Richards. And of course, we got David Bowie again right there. So it's like he said, January does feel like the month of David Bowie in various ways.
Yes, certainly. And January 30th, 2010, Neil Young was named the MusiCares Person of the Year for his, quote, influential artistic accomplishments and philanthropic work, unquote. A string of artists, including Elton John, Norah Jones, James Taylor, Elvis Costello, John Fogerty, Dave Matthews, and Sheryl Crow performed his songs as he was honored by the U.S. Recording Academy at the Los Angeles Convention Center.
Nice. And going back to 1999, after spending 11 weeks on the chart, Britney Spears started a 2-week run at number one on the US singles chart with Baby One More Time. The song topped the chart in at least 23 countries. It was the best-selling single of 1999. The song is one of the best-selling singles of all time with over 10 million copies sold. This is certainly one that you could just never avoid. It was always on. I remember back then, and it even showed up in a funny animated film in 2005 called Robots, which is a really fun watch.
Oh yeah, this song it's kind of a cult classic, I think. It's unavoidable for the last couple of generations, for sure. Going back to 1988, Tiffany was at number one on the UK singles chart with I Think We're Alone Now, the singer's only UK number one single. The song was a hit for Tommy James and the Shondells in 1967.
Yeah, that's another iconic one right there. And going back to 1982, Paul McCartney appeared as a guest on BBC Radio's Desert Island Discs. His selections included Heartbreak Hotel by Elvis Presley, Sweet Little 16 by Chuck Berry, Beautiful Boy by John Lennon, and Tutti Frutti by Little Richard. I'm sure people watching will definitely recognize most, if not all of those.
Yeah, definitely. It's always really interesting to get an inside look at what other artists that are so big, such as Paul McCartney, listen to in their downtime. In taking it back to 1975, the Bee Gees began recording Jive Talkin', which became their second US chart topper and number 5 UK hit. Barry Gibb's inspiration for the song came when his wife commented on the sound their car made while crossing a bridge over Biscayne Bay in Miami. She noted, quote, "It's our drive talkin'," unquote. That's really interesting. Sometimes the most mundane comments or conversations or happenings in your day-to-day life can turn into inspiration for something much bigger.
Yeah, definitely. Inspiration is all around. And in 1973, after changing their name from Wicked Lester, Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Ace Frehley, and Peter Criss made their first appearance as Kiss at the Popcorn Club in Queens, New York. That's interesting how, Wicked Lester, I don't know if that name could have become as iconic as Kiss. Kiss is shorter, simpler, perhaps easier to remember, and it's just, one of those staples of rock that lots of people know now.
Yes, certainly. It is really interesting to see what would have happened if they hadn't changed their name. And going to 1970, Edison Lighthouse was at number one on the UK singles chart with Love Grows, Where My Rosemary Goes. The group's only top 40 hit spent 5 weeks at the top of the charts. In February of 1970, Tony Burrows became the first and still the only person to appear on BBC television's Top of the Pops, fronting 3 different acts in one show: Edison Lighthouse, who were number 1 that week, White Plains, and Brotherhood of Man. That's a really interesting and fun feat, and something that obviously hasn't happened since and might not ever happen again. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. And in 1969, the Beatles, along with Billy Preston, played their lunchtime rooftop gig on top of the Apple Building on Savile Row, London, lasting for just over 40 minutes. It was the last time the Beatles performed live. They played Get Back, Don't Let Me Down, I've Got a Feeling, the one after 909, and Dig a Pony. Traffic was brought to a standstill as crowds of people gathered below and watched from windows in nearby buildings. John Lennon ended the performance by saying, "I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the group and ourselves, and I hope we passed the audition." That's such an iconic show, that rooftop gig. It's just one of the cultural touchstones of not just of rock, but of music in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Very interesting fact there. In 1961, the Shirelles became the first all-girl black group to have a number 1 song on the US chart with Will You Love Me Tomorrow reach the top. The song peaked at number 4 in the UK. It's always really exciting to see when these sort of milestones happened. So being the first all-girl black group to do that is really exciting, and definitely something that I always look out for when I'm doing these.
Yeah, like you said, it's definitely a milestone, the progress being made there, history being made for sure. And in 1956, Elvis Presley started recording what would be his first album at RCA's New York studios. Songs recorded included his version of the Carl Perkins song, Blue Suede Shoes. Johnny Cash planted the seed for the song in the fall of 1955, while Perkins, Cash, Elvis Presley, and other Louisiana hayride acts toured throughout the South. Cash told Perkins of a black airman, C.V. White, whom he had met when serving in the military in Germany, who had referred to his military regulation airman's shoes as blue suede shoes. And that phrase, that wording, it definitely sticks with you. It's just such an iconic combination of words there.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's see what's in the news at Jump Talk TV. Yeah.
Alrighty. From Sunday, February 1st at 12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to Sunday, February 15th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Time, we will be running a special where people can sign up for a year of the Drum Talk TV Brilliance Premium membership at just $14 for the whole year. All you need to do is click the Become a Premium Member button, select the yearly option at the payment portal, and then apply the code in all caps DTTVB14 for your discount.
Yeah, so definitely take advantage of that code these first couple of weeks of February. And this past Wednesday, we had a fan Q&A with Ricky Rocket, the drummer for the band Poison. If you'd like to watch that full video, become a premium member at drumtalktvbrilliance.com. You'll be able to watch other archived fan Q&As as well as upcoming fan Q&As with artists, producers, and record executives. It was a really interesting conversation. He was very generous with his time and talking about, the reasons that Poison aren't touring at the moment. The discussions have been reported about, but he also talked about other stuff he's up to, as well as drumming and music and such. So definitely check that out, folks.
Yes, and another perk of the premium membership is getting to submit as many videos as you'd like to the Tribute Drumming Challenges, where you can win prizes, whereas free members can only submit up to 2. The deadline is approaching for both the Ringo Starr Tribute Drumming Challenge and the Frampton Comes Alive Tribute Drumming Challenge. You have until tomorrow, Saturday, January 31st at 11:59 p.m. Pacific to submit your videos.
Ring in the new year with the Ringo Starr Tribute Drumming Challenge. Competition open until January 1st, 2026, 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Win up to $125 worth of prizes by playing along to tracks featuring Ringo on drums. The Beatles, his solo albums, collaborations, many options. Win a gift certificate to a favorite music store and a Drum Talk TV interview. All the info, rules, and judging criteria are on the site. Free members can submit up to 2 videos per challenge. Premium members can submit as many as they'd like. Go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com.
And here's the one for the Frampton Comes Alive challenge.
Frampton Comes Alive, the legendary live album, turns 50 this month. Celebrate with our drumming challenge competition open until January 1st, 2026, 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Win up to $125 worth of prizes by playing along to tracks from the live album, which featured John Siomos on drums. Win a gift certificate to a favorite music store. Drum Talk TV interview. All the info, rules, and judging criteria are on the site. Free members can submit up to 2 videos per challenge. Premium members can submit as many as they'd like. Go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com.
Alrighty. And we also have another music-themed game show coming up Tuesday, February 3rd, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, U.S. time. So in honor of this being the second month of the year, the month of February, the theme is going to be B-sides of singles. So think about some of the hit songs that were released as singles, and what's on the B-side of them. And you can study up, or you can just try guessing. We've seen people win by guessing. That definitely happens. And you could win a prize. So yeah, definitely go to the event page on Facebook and Eventbrite. There's an RSVP link, and you'll get reminders emailed straight to your inbox. So feel free to join us on that.
Yes, definitely lots of fun stuff. Recently, on our Drum Talk TV YouTube channel and Facebook page, we posted an exclusive interview with that Billy Amendola did with Zak Starkey, the former drummer of The Who, and of course, son of the Beatles, Ringo Starr. He talked about his one-man show coming up in New York City on February 20th, and he also recapped the experience with The Who, getting rehired and fired by them multiple times in 2025.
Yeah, that's a really cool interview to see. Earlier this year, we were talking so much about what's going on with The Who, with Zak Starkey, and there's all this back and forth. So he definitely touched on that, and really great to be able to see him, get his point of view on that. Over on Yes Shift, last Saturday, we had Bob Cesca for an interview regarding the art of the re-released Yes Symphonic Live. This past Wednesday, I went live to share Yes-related news, including tomorrow's deadline for fan submissions to the Gottlieb Brothers Yes Stuff 4 book. I'll also be going live tomorrow, Saturday, January 31st, to talk about my vinyl copy of the Asia album Alpha. It'll probably be in the morning or around noon. I'm still waiting to hear back on something I'm scheduling for tomorrow as well, unrelated to all this. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out.
Definitely. And last Friday, Dan went live with Lou Calderola for another episode of Under the Influence, focused on debut albums. Yesterday, Dan went live with bassist Jeff Berlin for another episode of Rhythm and Lows, talking about bassists and drummers. And later today at 12 p.m. Pacific, Dan goes live with physical therapist Janice Ying for another episode of Drumming Injury Talk. This was the episode that was postponed last week, so definitely they'll have a lot of fun stuff to talk about and important stuff to talk about, so tune in for that.
Yeah, for sure. And keep an eye out for Dan's upcoming interview with Joe Meckler about the Delaware Drum Show. The event is happening Sunday, February 22nd, but the interview will be broadcast live on Thursday, February 5th, 12 p.m. Pacific. And we actually have a video of Joe talking about the Delaware Drum Show.
Delaware Drum Show,
222-26.
North Shrine Hall, in beautiful Newcastle, Delaware.
9:30 to 4:30.
52 booths this year, a clinician's tent out back, a room dedicated to consignment all by itself.
Adam Nussbaum is our first clinician, and at 2:15, the fabulous Greg Bissonette.
Please visit DelawareDrum.com for all of your questions.
Meet and greets such as Rob Mintzner, Daniel Glass, Mike Simbeck, David Osickinen of the Hooters, Jason Gianni. Plus, you'll never know who's gonna stop Raffles by. Or a brand new Gretsch snare drum and another fabulous J Drums drum set. Don't miss it.
Drum set.
Delaware Drum Show.
Right, so that's delawaredrum.com if you want more info on that. So now, of course, comes that point in the show where we switch gears.
And now a moment to acknowledge those who have passed.
All right.
James Mingo Lewis passed away on January 27th at the age of 75. Al Di Meola, whom Lewis played percussion with, posted a tribute on Facebook, calling the musician, quote, sharp, soulful, and full of life, unquote. The post also shared Al Di Meola's first and last memories with Five very well and was struggling to catch his breath. Meola said, quote, once the music started, none of that mattered. We played together one last time, smiling at each other, fully inside the moment, relishing the music the way we always had. That's how I remember him. Rhythm first, heart wide open, music always leading the way, unquote. He will definitely be missed.
Yeah, for sure. And next up, we have Francis Buchholz, longtime bassist for German rock band Scorpions, who passed away on January 22nd at the age of 71. Blabbermouth reported that he passed peacefully following a private battle with cancer, as his family confirmed. Buchholz joined the Scorpions in 1973, and throughout the 70s and 80s, his precise bass lines anchored the band's signature sound, consisting of a blend of hard rock and power ballads. Anthems like Rock You Like a Hurricane, Still Loving You, and Wind of Change are most recognizable, and the last one became the unofficial soundtrack to the fall of the Berlin Wall in Germany. The band sold over 100 million albums during his tenure with them, and he was honored with more than 50 gold and platinum awards worldwide for his contributions. Buchholz decided to step away from the spotlight in 1992, shortly after the band reached a commercial peak, citing his dedication to his family after the birth of his twin daughters. The family said in a statement, quote, our hearts are shattered throughout his fight with cancer. We stayed by his side, facing every challenge as a family, exactly the way he taught us. He was a family man through and through, and our grief is beyond words, unquote. So, yeah, he will definitely be missed, but remembered by his loved ones and anyone who knew him.
Certainly. Sly Dunbar, Jamaican drummer and one half of the duo Sly and Robbie, passed away this week. Pitchfork reported that his wife Thelma went to wake him up and found him unresponsive. She did not disclose a cause of death, but did share that he had been sick for some time. Born in Kingston, Jamaica, his first on-record appearance was on the title track of David Ansel Collins' 1971 album Double Barrel, which reached #1 on the UK singles chart. Dunbar and bassist Robbie Shakespeare, who passed away in 2021, first played together in house band in Jamaica, quickly becoming the most sought-after rhythm sections. Their work appeared on various reggae classics like Legalize It by Peter Tosh, Right Time by the Mighty Diamonds, and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner by Black Uru. The duo also toured with Rolling Stones in the late 70s, and over the course of their career, Sly and Robbie put out more than 30 records. They won a Grammy for Best Reggae Album in 1985, which was the award's inaugural year, and then again in 1999. Dunbar was 73 years old.
Right. And lastly, Billy Bass Nelson, founding bassist of Parliament Funkadelic, passed away earlier this week, just 2 days before his 75th birthday. Newsbreak.com reported that no specific cause was cited when bandleader George Clinton shared the news on social media. As a teenager, Bass worked for Clinton at a barbershop and was recruited to back Clinton's vocal group, then known as the Parliaments. Clinton's 2014 autobiography recalled Bass's role in the band's first hit single, I Wanna Testify, from 1967, saying that, quote, he was just strumming simple chords and I was singing a lyric that had been stuck in my head for a while. I just want to testify what your love has done for me. Billy and I sang that and let the words settle around us. Unquote. Bass went on to perform on the group's first 3 albums, Funkadelic, Free Your Mind, and Your Ass Will Follow, both from 1970, and Maggot Brain from 1971. Bass left the group over financial disagreements, but made a brief appearance on 1975's Let's Take It to the Stage. Bass played with other groups such as the Commodores, Chairman of the Board, Fishbone, Jermaine Jackson, Harlot, Lionel Richie, Smokey Robinson, and Lenny Williams before returning to Parliament Funkadelic for several tours starting in 1994. All right, so again, all these people definitely be missed, but thankfully music is a large footprint that allows them to leave their mark so that they're remembered.
Yes, absolutely.
Now let's see what's been going on this week in the music industry. Now let's see what...
Celebrating a huge milestone as their iconic album Rumors hit their 50th anniversary of its recording. Parade reported that the band shared an Instagram post on January 28th, revealing that this week marked the anniversary of the recording, which took place at the record plant in Sausalito, California, north of San Francisco. Over the band's long and storied career, Rumors is their best-known album, featuring hit tracks such as Dreams, Go Your Own Way, and The Chain. The band members faced a variety of personal hardships during this time, which inspired much of the album's direction and lyrics. It became Fleetwood Mac's first #1 album on the UK Albums Chart, topped the Billboard 200, and won Album of the Year at the Grammy Awards in 1978. It's also been named one of the greatest albums of all time by many publications. Rumors will celebrate its official 50th anniversary on February 4th, 2027.
Right, so that's just a year away, and what an iconic album, that one. A new music festival was just announced this week, one that will take fans back to the 2000s era of R&B and house music. Parade reported that the Forever Mine Music Festival is coming this spring, hosted in Union Park in Chicago, Illinois on May 23rd and 24th. The lineup already boasts impressive acts, including Juvenile, Shaggy, Monica, Destiny Child alum Kelly Rowland, John Simmons, among others. The event will also feature a silent disco stage where attendees wear wireless headphones and tune into multiple channels to hear live performances. Co-owners Fernando Nieto and Miguel Torres said, quote, Chicago gave the world house music, and this city has always been where house and R&B intersect. That's why we're bringing them together at Forever Mine, unquote. There will also be live art installations, Y2K-inspired photo booths, bars, and food vendors at the event. Tickets went on sale at 12 p.m. Central, around the time this broadcast went live. So that's it's really fascinating that the turn of the millennium, that's kind of the vibe there and that music, that it's considered like long ago enough to be celebrated in this way. It's really cool, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. It's always exciting to hear about a new music festival coming to life as well. 1980s thrash metal band Anthrax celebrated the 42nd anniversary of their debut album this week. Parade reported that the band shared on Instagram a celebratory post for Fistful of Metal, which consists of 10 tracks and includes a cover of I'm 18 by Alice Cooper. This is the band's only album to feature vocalist Neil Turbin and original bassist Dan Lilker, who were replaced by Matt Fallon and Frank Bello, respectively. The album received mixed reviews upon initial release, and the group rarely plays these tracks live. Guitarist and co-founder Scott Ian said that early inspiration came from Judas Priest, Motorhead, Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, and the Ramones. Amid various tensions and lineup changes, the band released a total of 11 studio albums, their most recent project, For All Kings, hitting its 10-year anniversary this year. The band is set to go on a world tour, first playing around Canada in mid-February before hitting stops in Australia in late March, Japan in early April, and then opening for some of Iron Maiden's North American dates this summer.
Yeah, some very exciting stuff. And 32 years after their 6 times platinum debut album was released, the Dave Matthews Band announced that they're hitting the road again this summer with a huge run of show dates. Parade reported that the band is scheduled to kick off the tour with 3 shows in Texas in May, hitting various other U.S. cities before wrapping up in September with a Labor Day weekend residency as the Gorge Amphitheater in the town of George, Washington. This news comes after the 9th annual Dave and Tim Riviera Maya concert in Cancun, Mexico, happened over the weekend, featuring Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds playing a new song titled Making It Great. Yeah, the Dave Matthews Band, I've heard at least a couple of their tracks. I know they were mentioned here and there in Community, which is one of my favorite shows, but yeah, they're a big one.
Yeah, definitely very exciting news there. English indie pop star Macy Peters announced on January 27th that her third album, Fluorescence, will be out on May 15th via Gingerbread Man Records, Ed Sheeran's record label. Parade reported that Peters will also embark on a tour around Australia, Europe, and the US in March and April ahead of the album's release. And the lead single, My Regards, is due out February 6th. Quote, fluorescence means the process of flowering of developing rich Mumford. Peters revealed that the project has been 2 years in the making and was written across Nashville, London, and Suffolk. Interesting story that I have about me. Concert in Philadelphia, and she was the opener.
Oh, wow.
And so I really, really enjoyed the show that she put on, and it had a really great time. And so I started listening to her music and this new album.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and as we were saying earlier, 2026 seems to be the year of huge double bill tours, ranging from Styx and Cheap Trick to Iron Maiden and Megadeth to Lynyrd Skynyrd and Foreigner. 2 more big names have joined the list and are sharing a bill this summer, as Parade reported. Grammy-winning singer-songwriter Lionel Richie is joining forces with fellow Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Earth, Wind, and Fire to hit the road in continuation of their popular Sin a Song All Night Long tour. Richie's Instagram announcement shared that the 26-city tour is kicking off on June 24th in St. Paul, Minnesota, before heading to cities including Toronto, New York, Los Angeles, and others before wrapping up in Austin, Texas on August 14th. Again, that feels like a double bill that just, you think about the artists and their music and think about them back to back, and it feels like it would really work really well. Okay, I think Shiley's signal, something's going on, so let me make sure everything is okay on her end, but I might need to read this next bit here. So folk pop artist Noah Kahan announced the official release date for his highly anticipated fourth studio album, The Great Divide, this week. Parade reported that the album will be available everywhere on April 24th, coming nearly 3.5 years after his most recent album, Stick Season. The lengthy caption to his Instagram post shared his inspiration for the album, saying, "From a long silence forms a divide, a great expanse demanding attention. I stare across it. I see old friends, my father, my mother, my siblings, my younger self, the great state of Vermont," unquote. Kahan continued, quote, "The songs are the words I would say if I could," unquote. The title track was released today, January 30th, coming after months of teasing his new project. All right, so that's another bit of interesting news there. Okay, Shiley's back. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but I'll go ahead and read this next bit. The lead singer of 90s heavy metal band Mudvayne shared this week that the band is officially on hiatus this year. Penn Live reported that Chad Gray took to social media to share the band's news, as well as news of his own, saying that for him, taking a break isn't an option. Quote, "Music, creating, playing are the wells that I draw my happiness from, so I need to keep going," unquote. Gray wrote in his post. The singer is moving forward with his 30 Years of Madness show, scheduled for April 24th, where he will play songs from both Mudvayne and his other group, Hell Yeah. Tickets for the Las Vegas show are currently sold out. Alternative artist Kamikeho is opening this one-of-a-kind show, so that should be an interesting show there.
Yes. Former Megadeth bassist David Ellefson announced late last week that he will be embarking on his annual Bass Warrior tour around Europe in March, featuring special guest Andy Martingeli, a musical director and lead guitarist for Ellefson's band. Parade reported that Maddow will be opening the act for 2024 albums. This year, he will perform the entirety of Megadeth's album Countdown to Extinction, which was originally released in 1992. In his statement online, Ellefson wrote, quote, "I'm really excited to be performing the Countdown to Extinction album in its entirety on the tour. It's always been one of my favorite albums in my discography, and I'm looking forward to celebrating those songs with my fans," unquote. The tour will kick Europe, including Slovakia, Czechia, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, Switzerland, and back to Milan, Italy for closing night.
Nice. Exciting stuff there. A year after the release of The Revenge of Alice Cooper, Alice himself is going on a short tour through the southern and mid-Atlantic portions of the U.S. Parade reported that the tour, dubbed Alice's Attic, is touted as a realm of insanity, if you dare. The tour will kick off in San Antonio, Texas on April 14th, heading through the Midwest with stops in Ohio, Iowa, and Indiana before dipping into Virginia, the Carolinas, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. The trek will wrap up with a show in Camden, New Jersey on May 9th. Cooper said in a recent podcast, quote, "Tour for me is just part of life. I've been touring since I was 16 years old. I'm 77 now, and I think I'm doing my best shows now," unquote. That really puts things into perspective. You know, he started touring when he was a teenager, and 60 years later, he enjoys the tours more now. And I mean, I think that's really great to be able to enjoy the latest tours more than the earlier ones, because for some people it could very well be the other way around. It wouldn't be as fun that way, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And, he said also that touring keeps him healthy and going. So, whatever it takes to keep him happy and going is really important. Dave Grohl's 19-year-old daughter, Violet Grohl, is kickstarting her own music career, seemingly following in her dad's footsteps. Parade reported that on January 24th, it was announced that Violet had signed a record deal with Republic Records Island EMI through her own imprint, Aurora Records. Along with the news, she shared 2 of her songs, Thumb and Applefish, each accompanied by an official lyric video. Violet initially shared the songs on social media in December, writing, quote, "I'm beyond excited to finally share a little bit of what I've been working on over the last year. I made these tracks with the most badass group of musicians, so happy they're finally yours," unquote. She received praise from both Christina Goodman, the SVP at Republic Records, and Republic's Executive Vice President, Dave Wolter, each echoing that, quote, "she represents the next generation of artists," unquote. This is very exciting. It, seems like maybe she has some big shoes to fill, but ultimately she's going to pave her own way and create her own style. And lots of people are very excited to see what she does.
Yeah, definitely. And next up, last weekend, classic rock band The Eagles performed a show without a key member for the first time in 51 years. Syracuse reported that the band played a concert at the Sphere in Las Vegas without legendary singer-guitarist Joe Walsh, who was sick with the flu. According to frontman Don Henley, quote, "We had a choice to make. We could either cancel the whole thing or we could man up and do the show," unquote. He continued by sharing that the group held an emergency 2-hour rehearsal before the show to fill Walsh's role last minute. Ultimate Classic Rock reported that Vince Gill, who joined the band in 2017, stepped up to handle vocals and a guitar solo in Hotel California. He is expected to be back in the lineup at the Sphere performance tonight, January 30th. This kind of reminds me of a conversation I've heard a couple other friends have where they suggested that a band or even a singular pop artist should be perceived like a musical where there are understudies, so that if you buy a ticket to one of these things, you'll know, okay, so if there's a person who's unable to make it, like, they'll have an understudy. It's kind of an interesting way of looking at it. But yeah, I think with bands and obviously solo artists, we're so used to buying a ticket with the knowledge of, okay, this person is going to be performing there. But I do kind of wonder if maybe it should be more normalized that there, the knowledge that there could be an understudy for certain circumstances and whatnot.
Yeah, that is a really interesting way to look at it. And I would be interested to see what people said in the comments about if they would still go to a show if one of the band members was not going to be there, and they knew that it would be an understudy. Moving on to iconic emo band My Chemical Romance kicked off the 2026 leg of their Black Parade tour earlier this week in Peru, but had something even more exciting up their sleeve. Loudwire reported that the band and guitarist Frank Iero both recently posted a cryptic teaser on social media, an ambiguous and soundless snippet. The clip merely flashes the word Phantom in green, accompanied by a caption, "A game you will play." Other sources pointed out that the MCR used the word Phantom in the line of their first demo, 2002's Like Phantoms Forever, and their most recognizable track, Welcome to the Black Parade, features the line, "Because one day I'll leave you, a phantom, to lead you in the summer to join the Black Parade." Fans have a lot of theories circulating online, some saying that the snippet looks like a completely new aesthetic, which could suggest a new era for the band. I personally will be keeping up on a close eye on this. It's, like I said at the beginning, one of my favorite bands. And I am definitely excited to see what they've got up their sleeve, and if this means a new single, a new album coming out. You know, they broke up in 2013, said they were never going to come back, and then they're on this reunion tour, and so it feels like anything's possible.
Yeah, I remember back in high school and maybe middle school, like some of my friends would talk about My Chemical Romance, and I just didn't check them out at the time. But within the last couple of years, having read some comics that Gerard Way has written, I went ahead and checked out his music and some of My Chemical Romance. I thought to myself, why didn't I listen to this a while ago? Like, I was really missing out on this whole thing. But yeah, this is really exciting news here.
Here's a reminder of what's coming up soon on Drum Talk TV.
All right, everyone, remember to submit to the Ringo Starr Tribute Drumming Challenge and the Frampton Comes Alive Drumming Challenge, which both end this Saturday, January 31st at 11:59 Pacific Standard Time. Results will be announced mid-February.
And in the new month, check out our game show Tuesday, February 3rd, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern U.S. times, where the theme is B-sides of singles. And from February 1st to 15th, up until 11:59 p.m. Pacific on the 15th, use the code DTTVB14 to get a year of the premium level of our membership site for just $14. So access to live stream fan Q&As with artists, producers, record executives. You could see the archived ones and the upcoming ones, and as many videos to the drumming challenges as you'd like, and more perks. Just go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com and see what we got going on. All right, so that'll do it for this one. And thanks to anyone who tuned in, whether it be live or in the archive. And thanks to you again, Shiley, for putting together a lot of these news items on the itinerary we do.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Stephen, for all of this. And it's been great to do a news desk this Friday. We'll see you next week. Everyone have a great weekend.